Yo, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Vade, aka Pro Benchwarmer, and welcome back to the next episode of Box Benchwarmers, the series where we discuss every incomplete archetype and Duel Links, their relative history within our meta, and what cards do they need to become competitive. Now, if you're enjoying this series, please leave a like and subscribe for more weekly content. I will bring this as quick as I can. Today's episode is on Fire Kings, an archetype that I can actually talk about its meta relevance because we actually played it on this channel. I actually hit King of Games with this deck before. Now, when it was introduced in, I believe, Dawn of Destiny, it was a nice little package which included Fire King Island, Fire King Yaksha, Kirin, which nobody played, and the boss monster at the time, Sacred Phoenix of Nephistus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That was a really neat package because the archetype exists on destroying themselves, the cards getting destroyed and having effects that activate when being destroyed. I can actually pull up Fire King Yaksha, where it says, you know, if a face Fire King monster is destroyed by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can destroy a card in your hand or that you control, which is pretty good. You know, at the time, we didn't know how to take advantage of destroying cards in the hand when other cards are being destroyed. However, when we finally got to fine-tune that deck existing of 3 Sacred Phoenixes, 3 Yakshas, I believe a couple of Spear Karibos, and a couple of cards that will bounce monsters back up to the hand, we got a deck that was really consistent, especially with Fire King Island popping a card in your hand or on the field to search, which was the first field spell that we actually got that worked in a deck that actually made the deck more consistent. I've made arguments with a whole bunch of people on Discords and all that stuff saying that field spells and Duel Links, since we don't have terraforming, really suck. However, this field spell nets you advantage, so it was actually really good. And also the field spell popped when the field spells popped, it destroyed all the monsters on the field, which at the time we were like, why would you want that? But you know, popping Sacred Phoenix means that it comes back again and starts wiping back row. Popping Yaksha means you can pop a Sacred Phoenix in the hand to get more Sacred Phoenixes in the graveyard, because most of the time that this field spell was popped, it was because of Sacred Phoenix being revived, and so on and so forth. However, like, now I can talk about the meta relevancy. So the deck was actually really good. It was one of those quote-unquote cancer decks that people complained about because it wiped back row out. However, this deck did shift the meta into more quick play spells, because if there was nothing that you can have if anything you had in the back row was not chainable to Sacred Phoenix, that deck was already dead the moment this deck started rolling. People went from playing cards like Mirror Wall and I believe Missouri, where if your card dies you can destroy your opponent's monster, or any card that cannot be chained that needed a reaction in order to be useful, and completely took it out of the meta. Also, this deck was running around while ninjas were starting to get formed, so ninja traps that, you know, special summon from the deck, when those traps get destroyed, the monster get destroyed. This deck completely shat all over ninjas when they started. When this got shifted over to 3SD, it actually became more, I believe it became faster than Sacred Phoenix at the time. However, this deck died out of the meta simply because of 3 things. One, while the power output of this deck was actually pretty decent, the deck was so slow, relying on something getting destroyed and waiting till the next turn for that destruction to actually come to fruition. And that was such a detriment to the deck. While other decks were getting faster, this deck consistently just stayed too slow. Now, another thing is the boss monster was 2400, which is great at the time, where our the best deck at the time, I believe, was Red Eyes, where their boss monster is just 2400. They started running Beatdown and started running Red Eyes Zombie, while this deck couldn't really, like, you've seen people run Beatdown with it and run things like Goka Pyre of Malice, but it did fuck up the consistency. That restart actually helped this deck out really well. And then we started getting boss monsters like Cyber Angel Dakini, and then, like I said, with the 3SD ninjas, getting Black Dragon Ninja onto the field faster. So having a 2800 body or 2700 body started to kill this deck, because this deck had no way of dealing with those other than Econ Take, and those decks were already faster than this deck, so it was really hard to keep up with the meta. And after a while it just faded out. However, its lasting history in our meta is the fact that now we run decks that don't rely too heavily on the back row unless the back row is very explosive for the deck, and we have shifted to a meta that has adapted to more quick play spells because we needed cards that were very much more reactive rather than cards that, you know, relied on a lot of situational crap going on. So I do applaud this deck for actually existing in our meta, but I feel like we need to revive it somehow. And I think I found all the cards that we need for Duel Links to make this deck consistent. Now, the first card that I want to talk about here is, whoa, pop up, dude, is Onslaught of the Fire Kings. Onslaught of the Fire Kings states if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, special summon one Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from the deck. Its effects are negated and it's destroyed in the end phase. Now, you can only activate this once per turn, but you can already see the power that this card has. It doesn't specifically say Fire King that you have to special summon, so you can actually use this to get out like Bonfire Colossus or any other really big Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster. So it can be splashable and actually can create other decks and can get decks into OTK range, especially if you have like fire support like Kick Fire and stuff like that. You can actually get more monsters onto the field to activate those cards. However, in the terms of Fire Kings, it gets a monster from the deck to the field and destroyed in the end phase, so you can actually use that effect. Now that speeds up the deck a lot more, and it also gets you big monsters onto the field, which is great. You can use this to get Sacred Phoenix onto the field and get it destroyed. However, you need to be going second for this card to even work because your opponent has to control a monster and you can't, which kind of sucks because if you special summon a monster that can't really do anything and then you're only waiting for its effect to be live when it gets destroyed by a card effect, which would be this card effect, then you're still waiting, and then that still, while you're still getting monsters on the field and getting really reactive, you're still waiting for your deck to pop off, and I think that that's kind of unfortunate. Now, the next card that I think would speed this up and actually bring in a lot of crazy OTK, I believe, OTK potential to this deck is Circle of the Fire Kings. Now, understand that these cards can be searched by Fire King Avatar Barong, because it says Barong during the standby phase searches a Fire King card, so you can search the field spell, these two spells, and also any Fire King monster, which is really great because these are searchable spells and traps, which is fantastic. Now, Circle of the Fire King states you can target one fire monster you control and one fire monster in your graveyard, destroy the monster you control, and special summon the one from the graveyard. You can only activate this once per turn. Now, what I say OTK potential, because once again, this does not state Fire King monster. This just says fire monster, so you can special summon anything from the graveyard, but you can attack, you can go Onslaught, special summon a big monster, then normal summon a Fire King monster, attack, or if you got a fire monster in the graveyard, Circle the Fire King's one of your smaller monsters, get the big one out, and then attack again. And since you're destroying the monster when you're sending it to the graveyard, you can actually get their effects to pop off, whether it be in the next standby phase or at that exact moment, like Fire King Yaksha popping a card from the hand or on the field, which is very good for this deck. It wants to attack, it wants to get its effects off, it does not want to hinder itself. The next card that I believe that really pulls this deck together, and I know I might get a lot of crap for this, but Fire King High Avatar Garunix needs to come into this game in order for this deck to become viable. Now, this card is insane. It says during your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, note it is a Fire Wing Beast, so it can be searched, it can be summoned through Onslaught and destroyed through Onslaught and destroyed through Fire King Island, Fire King Island, and special summoned through Fire King Island since it's a level 8 Fire Wing Beast. You can when this card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon this card from the graveyard. When you do, destroy all other monsters on the field. This is a field nuke. This is a monster version of Sacred Phoenix. This is disgusting. Yo, if you can live through the next turn after destroying this card and sending it to the graveyard, say goodbye to your opponent's entire monster lineup. And with people not running that much back row, this is so disruptive. Because I believe, just like Fire Kings back then, and Fire Kings would if we get this card, Fire Kings is one of the only decks in Duel Links that actually benefit from main decking 3 Spear Karibos, because their effects are so slow that you can actually live through OTK decks by having Spear Karibos in hand and then go off with Fire King Avatar, High Avatar Garunix coming back to the field, popping your opponent's whole field that they just worked so hard to build, and then go in for game. It's 2700 attack, 1700 defense. Those are respectable stats. And it says that when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Fire King monster from your deck except this card, which means you can go into Yaksha, and if you have another high Avatar Garunix in your hand, when Yaksha gets destroyed, you can pop the Garunix in the hand again. And if you use Circle of the Fire Kings, you can get, oh, it's just disgusting. If you get 2 Garunix going in a circle, one Garunix comes up, destroys all the monsters on your opponent's side of the field, the other Garunix comes back up, destroys the first Garunix, so your opponent can never actually build another board. That is disgusting. Holy crap, this deck would be so fantastic with High Avatar Garunix, and I don't think it's too unfair, because like I said throughout this whole video, this deck is still inherently slow. It takes longer for this effect to go off than 3 mass changes and a Destiny Hero in a hand. So what's really like the cause there? You can either get OTK'd or get OTK'd back with a going second deck. I think that this would be disgusting, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And also, if you guys think I should put up a potential build of the deck, I will try to work that in. I'm trying to figure out how it would work with the layout. Just let me know in the comment section below. With that being said, I'm gonna get going. Peace. That's a wrap.